everybody. I am Erica Wiggenhorn, and welcome to Unexplainable Stories of Hope and Healing. And I am especially excited for today's episode with my friend Haley, who walked through a season where suddenly she found herself unexpectedly pregnant. Haley, tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I definitely wasn't in the ideal circumstances for being pregnant. I was single. I was in the middle of college. I was ending my sophomore year, just beginning my junior year of college. I was out of town from the rest of my family, and all my friends had gone home over the summer. And I was also not really walking with God at the time. And so I remember when I first found out I was pregnant, I was sitting in the bathroom of my empty dorm, and just the immediate feeling was like I was terrified. And so it was a moment where I felt like my life was suddenly spinning out of control. All the plans that I thought I had in the future were now gone. And it just felt like, my world's ending. My seemingly at the time perfect world was now going to completely change. And I had absolutely no control over it, it felt like.
Wow. That must have been very scary.
Absolutely.
And you said at that point in your life, you didn't really feel like you had a relationship with God.
Yeah.
How did God meet you in that moment? Even though you weren't maybe necessarily looking for him, he knew that you needed him.
Absolutely.
And how did God unexplainably meet you in that moment?
Yeah, I would say it really came a couple days later. I held off telling my mom for a whole day, and I remember I called her, and she just said, "I'm on my way." We had a very short conversation, and then it came to, "I'm on my way." And so it takes 2 hours to drive from where she was to come get me. And I remember just that whole 2 hours, it felt like forever. And I had so many emotions going through.
And you didn't really know what to expect.
Yes, I was like, can I come back home? Is she going to have a plan that I'm going to have to follow? Is she going to be happy about this, sad about this, terrified, angry? And I just remember she finally got to my dorm, and I went out to see her, and she just gave me a huge hug. Mm-hmm. And it was just, in that moment, just a huge relief came over me, and just finally had a sense of peace. In the last 2 days, I felt like I had absolutely no peace at all. And I just feel like it was really God in that moment wrapping his arms around me through my mom, and just explaining, like, I have grace for you, and it never ends, and I have love for you, and it's unwavering, and it's completely abundant. And it was just really what I needed at that time. And I would say another time was just sitting in church, and when God puts on that song, and he really just wants to hit you right where you need it. Yeah. That was the moment I felt too. We just were singing a song about basically sin and being redeemed from that sin, and how during that time God's love doesn't fail, and he's just always there for you, and he just always wants you to come back to him in the end. Come back to him, and he forgives you. He has already forgiven us.
That's beautiful. You had mentioned feeling that when you first found out, you felt like life was over. And maybe there's somebody out there watching today, and you're in that situation. You're holding that pregnancy test in your hand, and you're thinking, life is over. Every plan that I had is over. What would you say to that young woman in that situation?
Yeah, I think I would say, number one, just breathe. Take a moment, just breathe, and then finally, it's going to be okay. It doesn't seem like it right now, but God's got you, and it's going to be okay.
Yeah, because it doesn't feel okay in the time.
No, absolutely not.
You had mentioned a little bit in our conversations with one another, and you brought it up here of, you had a plan for your life, and you were walking in that plan, and it seemed good to you at the time, and then all of a sudden now I'm pregnant, and what am I going to do? And in that situation, one big thing for you that you said is you really you asked for help. Explain to somebody out there that just maybe they're feeling really alone. How important is it to ask for help, and where should they go for help?
So I would say asking for help is absolutely important. I am an incredibly stubborn person. The people who know me will tell you that. And I really, really struggled with asking for help because it puts you in a vulnerable state that we don't want to be in.
Sure.
But once I brought those people into my life who I felt like, they've done life with me in the past, and they have been there in other seasons where it's been difficult, and now is the time when I need the help the most. I was able to reach out to them. So I had my mom, obviously, and then a couple of good friends. I had to reach out to a mentor, which was completely new for me, but it was a woman that we had been friends, and we had been friends before I found out I was pregnant, and became better friends after. And it just really was encouraging to have them walk alongside me in what felt like the most difficult season of my life.
Yeah.
And it feels uncomfortable. It feels unnatural. You might feel some shame in just kind of bringing them into the dark secrets you didn't want anyone to know about.
Sure.
But ultimately, we kind of have to bring people in to ultimately help us to grow from it, and not just let it be, oh, yeah, it was a sin and I learned absolutely nothing from it. But, I had a sin, but now there's this amazing blessing in the form of a child, and now I'm going to have a lot more blessings of, what, now I'm building better friendships here. I'm building my relationship with friends or family. And I think that's just, it's kind of a must in this situation. You have to get people who will help. Encourage you.
Yeah. And maybe you're out there watching and you're thinking, well, you know what, I can't, there's no way I can call my mom. I can't call my mom, or even if I did, she wouldn't care. Or she wouldn't help me in this situation. And so I love the fact that when people are even in that situation, like here in Phoenix, we have places like Choices Pregnancy Center that offers mentoring and people to come alongside and help you, because you really aren't alone. You might feel alone, but you're not alone. And I think that's one of the things that is really important to you today, is to just let people know out there you are not alone. And so in your situation, God made a way, and you were able to carry Forrest full term, and he's been born now, and he is a precious, precious little boy. What would you say to people out there watching that maybe know somebody who has an unexpected pregnancy? Maybe it's their friend from high school, or their neighbor down the street, or somebody at church in their youth group or whatever. What would you say to especially church people, right? What would you say to church people, like, please do this. This was so important to me when I came back to church. What would you say to them? Like, please do this. Please do this for a woman walking this road.
I would say the biggest thing that I had people do for me was treat this pregnancy, though it's unexpected, maybe the circumstances are abnormal, treat it just like any other pregnancy, just as if you had a married couple that you knew that had been planning and they finally were pregnant. Treat this pregnancy the same. I know personally I struggled with, do I do these things? Do I take maternity pictures? Do I do a baby shower? Is it okay
to celebrate?
Yes. Yeah. And by myself, I don't think I would have. I think I would have just kind of kept to myself. But I had those people come around beside me and just, they threw me an amazing baby shower. I had a gender reveal party. I started a blog to just kind of go through my pregnancy journey, because it was unique and I felt like I had a story to share, and I was finally able to learn things from it. And it really took a village of people to come alongside me and say, it's okay. We're going to treat this pregnancy just like any other, and we're going to celebrate a new little baby coming into the world. So I would say that was number one. Number two, I would say, was allow them to bring you into their lives. It may feel uncomfortable, but as uncomfortable as you might feel, she might be feeling even more. And she also has possibly the shame that she might be carrying. She hasn't learned to grow out of it and learn, this baby isn't something to be shameful of. It's something to be celebrated and appreciated. And so just allowing yourself to be someone that she wants to bring you into this journey. I think that's probably the other really big thing. And I think this especially applies to, leaders in the church and just people who they have that influence to come alongside and say, you know what? Yes, you sinned, but so have all of us, and this shouldn't be a bigger sin than anyone else's. So we're going to love on you, and we're going to show, Christ told us to love everyone, and we should try to be more like Christ. So let's just love on her and love on this new child that she's going to bring into the world.
I love that. I think that is really important for people that have influence to be the first ones to reach out, because they can be that catalyst where other people are going to follow suit and reach out as well. One thing, looking back through this journey now, you said your initial thought, your initial feelings were, my life is over. Looking back now, what is one thing that you wish you knew in that moment, or you wish somebody would have told you in that moment, that you could say to somebody now to just give them hope that it really is going to be okay?
Yeah. I would say it's the super cheesy phrase, but just let go and let God. Because ultimately, the more control I tried to have on especially the circumstance, the less in control I felt. But as soon as I realized, I really need to just give this up and I need to just let God take control of it, that was when I felt the most peace about everything. Because before then, especially as soon as you find out and just the short time after that, you have no clue what's going to happen. You kind of know, well, there's going to be a baby at the end of this journey. Right? But the whole leading up to it and what's going to happen after, we don't know. We can try to predict. We can try to keep our grip tight on our future. But I tried to do that, and I have an unexpected pregnancy. So I think just realizing I need to just let God take control of the situation, and I need to just completely trust Him in this.
Sure.
That's really the one thing that it was finally then where I realized, okay, like this can happen. It is going to be okay. I just need to surrender at this time.
Yeah. And that's a lesson everyone can learn, right? We all need to work on just surrendering and not trying to control everything. Tell us, Haley, looking back through this journey now, how has God used this to change you or grow you? How are you different today than that scared young girl on the bathroom floor?
Yeah. I would say one thing personally was having Forrest. He's definitely made me more emotional as a person. Beforehand, I was very guarded. I didn't really let anyone else in. And, he's controlling your world as soon as he comes into the world and as soon as you find out he's there. And so having to just kind of be exposed in that aspect, and it was so uncomfortable and so just out of the norm for me. But in the end, now that I can show my emotions a little bit more and I can let people in, it's just helped me in so many ways. And I would say another thing was, he's really grown me spiritually. When you find out that you're now going to be someone who's guiding this little kid up to hopefully, one day come to Christ, there's a lot of pressure on that.
Sure.
And so it's...
How are you going to teach your child right from wrong if you're not trying to pursue a life that's right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And so I really had to kind of get myself together in that aspect. So I knew, before I can help this little one grow up this way, I really have to get my spiritual life and just my walk with Christ right.
Yeah, I love that. Well, thank you so much for being brave enough to share your story and just being willing to help someone else out there who's just going, oh my gosh, my life is over. Just look at you now and say, your life isn't over. It might be different than what you planned, but it's not over. And there's still a beautiful future waiting, and to trust God that he's got you and he's got this little life that he's placed inside of you, right?
Yes.
So thank you. Hey friend, we sure hope that you were encouraged today by Haley's story today on Unexplainable Stories of Hope and Healing, and we certainly would invite you to share Haley's story with anyone that you know that it may very well encourage. And also we invite you to like, comment, and subscribe. Maybe tell us your own story that is a lot like Haley's. And certainly if you would like to know more about Unexplainable Jesus that Haley talked about today during her journey, we would invite you to find out more at our website, ericawiggenhorn.com. But mostly, friend, what we want to remind you today, and that we hope that you know, is that while life will often throw the unexpected at us, Unexplainable Jesus is always more than enough. Thanks for being here today. God bless.